Starting the bulletin with big focus on Maharashtra, where Marathi language row is now getting uglier day by day. Maharashtra Navnirman Sena chief Raj Thakre has hit back at Lok Sabha MP Nishikant Dubey over his "patak patak ke marenge," which roughly translates to "we will beat you up mercilessly" remark, and said that he will drown the BJP leader in sea of Mumbai. This MNS leader's remark has now sparked major furore, and look at the reactions coming in.
मराठी लोगों को हम यहाँ पे पटक पटक के मारेंगे, तुम मुंबई में आ जाओ। मुंबई के समुद्र में डूबे डूबे कर मारेंगे।
Now, this open threat comes after earlier this month, Dubey warned opponents that "tumko patak patak ke marenge," which roughly translates to "will thrash you thoroughly," while responding to MNS chief Raj Thakre's call to target Hindi speakers. Listen in.
आप जो इस तरह की घटिया हरकत कर रहे हो, और मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि जब अपने घर में हो, महाराष्ट्र में हो, यदि बहुत बड़े बॉस हो तो चलो बिहार, चलो उत्तर प्रदेश, चलो तमिलनाडु, तुमको पटक पटक के मारेंगे। ये अनार्की जो है नहीं चलेगी। हम मराठी का सम्मान करते हैं, मराठी एक आदरणीय भाषा है, और हम छत्रपति साहू जी महाराज, छत्रपति शिवाजी जी महाराज, पेशवा सबका जो है, तात्या टोपे से लेके सभी का हम सम्मान करते हैं। उन सबों ने, तिलक हो चाहे लाजपत राय हो, सभी ने जो है आज़ादी के आंदोलन में, गोपाल कृष्ण गोखले हो, सबसे बड़ा योगदान दिया है। हम तो सभी मराठी स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों का सम्मान करते हैं। महाराष्ट्र के स्वतंत्रता में, हमारी भारत की स्वतंत्रता में बहुत बड़ा योगदान है। लेकिन आज जो वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स, बीएमसी का चुनाव होने वाला है, और ये उद्धव ठाकरे और राज ठाकरे जो कर रहा है, इससे घटिया कोई काम नहीं हो सकता है, और हम इसका प्रतिकार करते हैं।
A day after allies turned adversaries, Uddhav Thackeray and Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis met on Thursday at the Maharashtra Assembly. Uddhav Thackeray was once again asked about the Chief Minister's proposal to join them, to which Uddhav Thackeray jokingly says, "This is inside talk or andar ki baat hai." While the ostensible reason between the two leaders was a discussion about the post of the leader of opposition in the state assembly, the meeting assumed raised eyebrows in view of Mr. Fadnavis' joinous comment yesterday, which Mr. Thackeray was quick to write off as a joke. For more, my colleague Sujata is bringing me and joining us right now.
Maharashtra's political landscape witnessed a new fiery and provocative speech by MNS Chief Raj Thakre, who was today here in Mira Road to address the people of Mira Road as well as his party workers. He started with a direct note onto the incident that happened in Mira Road, where a shopkeeper was beaten up because he refused to speak in Marathi. Raj Thakre clearly stated that the remarks that were given by him deserved the treatment that he got, after which he also spoke about how pro-Marathi he is, and he also spoke about the history that the Marathi language dates back to, and also there were several anti-Hindu remarks that were made by him. So at this point, it is Raj Thakre talking about various topics related to regional identity, to the politicization over language in Maharashtra, and also several other issues that were to be noted for the people of Maharashtra. And this is being witnessed in the backdrop of the upcoming BMC polls as well, talking about how it is the Mahayuti government that can have its government in the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha, but it is the MNS that is going to have its overall government onto the streets, relating and also showcasing the huge strength and support that they have of people from the Marathi community. And also he stated that people now who are from the Marathi speaking community have to ensure that wherever they go, whoever they meet, they are supposed to start speaking to them in Marathi language, and if they refuse to, they are going to get the treatment that they deserve, and that MNS could be seen doing since the last few days.
We also have that reaction of UBT chief Uddhav Thackeray. Listen in to what he said.
विरोधी पक्षनेते त्यांचा प्रश्न होतो.
सत्तेमध्ये येण्याची ऑफर त्यांनी दिली होती,
बघा, मी आता तुमच्याकडे येण्याच्या आधी प्रिंट मीडियाशी बोललो आणि चड्डी बनियन गँगचा उल्लेख केला. आता चड्डी बनियन म्हटल्यानंतर एक जाहिरात आहे, ही अंदर की बात आहे.
गृहराज्यमंत्री योगेश कदम यांच्या आईच्या नावावर असलेल्या
हो, त्यांनी अनिल परवानी पुरावे समोर ठेवलेत. आता बघूया आता काय कारभार करतात. जे बदल मी म्हटलं ना, आता काय बदलतात बघूया.
And now to the biggest proof of Operation Sindoor. Satellite imagery on Google Earth Pro, which has been recently updated, appears to show an impact point of a missile hit on Kirana Hill, which reports suggest may be a facility in Sargodha which houses Pakistani nuclear weapons. There has been footage of this which has been released earlier. The new image has been released by the imagery expert Damien Simon. However, it's important to remember that the Indian Air Force denied striking this facility either, so we are reporting this very carefully. There is an impact point. It wasn't there in earlier imagery. The hit appears to be on a hillside. Another image is from the Sargodha Air Base, which was struck by Indian weapons during Operation Sindoor. In fact, NDTV produced images of those hits. Those have now, as you can see, been patched up by Pakistan. My colleague Vishnu Shom has complete details.
This image, and it comes out from Damien Simon, perhaps the finest satellite imagery expert anywhere out there. This suggests that there was a particular impact during Op Sindoor. It sort of comes several weeks after a particular piece of footage emerged indicating a hit. Remember, this particular area is believed to be extremely sensitive. Apparently, Pakistan stores so-called special weapons in this area. Also important to remember that the Indian Air Force has denied that it is hitting the Kirana Hills facility. We'll play out that soundbite from the then Director General of Air Operations. But the Kirana Hills area is quite large, and this particular hit, as mentioned by Damien Simon, appears to be in that broader area, and it has not struck a military facility by way of a bunker or any of the overt military structures, which you can actually see on Google Earth Pro as well. But many people who've been watching this closely would have seen the incident video strike impact, right? And what has now taken place is that there has been a corroboration of this particular image, and video of this is out there. It's been out there for a while with a satellite image on Google Earth Pro, which is publicly accessible. It's not something NDTV has accessed ourselves. This has been pointed out by Damien Simon, and there's a sentry point on Google Earth Pro. You can see this very clearly, right? In fact, in this picture, you can actually see that sentry point over here, and approximately 150 meters away, there is this munition impact scar. So if you can just zoom in on where my hand is on this munition impact scar, it gives you an idea of where there appears to have been an explosion, possibly from a weapon. Now, this impact scar, the reason we know it is potentially the same as the video is also because older satellite images of this area didn't look like this. They were visibly different, and given the corroboration between the video and this appears to be a munition impact scar in an area which Pakistan considers sensitive. I should once again mention that Kirana Hills is a large area. This strike by itself is not on a military target. Let's listen in to what the Director General of Air Operations during Op Sindoor had said about when asked a specific question on whether we were hitting Pakistani nuclear weapons facilities in this area.
Social media, the Twitter is abuzz with the fact that we hit a site called Kirana Hills, which is supposed to be the nuclear storage facility. And there is a lot of rumors about Sargodha. There are foreign analysts who've mentioned that the Sargodha attack led to certain leaks. Is there a confirmation that we actually hit Kirana Hills, or we were careful of not to do any such thing? Thank you.
Thank you for telling us that Kirana Hill houses some nuclear installation. We did not know about it. Okay. And we've not hit Kirana Hills, whatever is there. Okay. I did not brief in my briefing yesterday. Thank you.
All right, so the Indian Air Force making it clear that it didn't cross a particular red line. And once again, I'd like to reiterate that this is not near any overt military structure, which is visible in Google Earth Pro, not here, but a distance away from here. We're going to move to the next image, which is a lot more clear and where there's far less ambiguity. This is the Sargodha Air Base in that same region. NDTV had brought you images of of weapons hits, possibly BrahMos hits on the runway at Sargodha, which is a major Pakistani airbase. That has now been patched up. This is where the hits had taken place in a couple of areas. Zoom in over here, right? Zoom in over here, and this is where the hit had taken place. And if you just move over here, this gives you a better idea of how it's now been patched up. So this is just a magnification of the image below. It's now been patched up to enable their aircraft operations. If we move further up the runway, this is another area where, where there is a taxiway crossing over the runway, and there was another massive hit over here. If we magnify, that has also been fixed by Pakistan in the last little while. So, Pakistan sort of fixing the damage caused by the Indian Air Force during Op Sindoor.
Now, nearly 3 months after the Pahalgam terror attack, the United States has finally tagged the Resistance Front, the group behind the Pahalgam terror attack, as a terrorist organization and described the effort. As per India, it is a strong affirmation of India-US counter-terrorism operation, I beg your pardon. This, as the United States has officially designated the Resistance Front, or TRF, a known offshoot of Pakistan-based group Lashkar-e-Taiba, as a foreign terrorist organization following the Pahalgam terror attack, which killed 26 people. Let's also get you the reactions coming in from the victim's family. Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, a 26-year-old Navy officer who was killed in Jammu and Kashmir during this Pahalgam terror attack. We spoke to his family. Take a look.
शिव जी, हम कैसे हैं ये आपके कैमरे के सामने है तो बात अलग है, अदरवाइज हम कैसे हैं वो जस्ट इमेजिन कर सकते हो आप कि राउंड तक लोग कभी वो चेहरा सामने से नहीं जाता है। हम सभी लोग अब तक ट्रॉमा में हैं। सिचुएशन यहाँ तक हो जाती है कि मेरे पेरेंट्स हैं 80 इयर्स के, मम्मी और पापा
जी,
बिटिया छोटी है और मेरी वाइफ और वासिर। मैं उनके सामने रो भी नहीं पाता हूँ, अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस भी नहीं कर पाता हूँ। मुझे मजबूत दिखना पड़ता है उनके सामने कि किसी तरह उनको लगे कि ये मजबूत है, हमें संभाल लेगा, ठीक है, किस तरह परिवार चलाना है। मेंटल स्टेट किसी का भी ठीक नहीं है और चल रही है जिंदगी, धीरे धीरे होगा और भगवान पे भरोसा है। बट स्टिल ऑल ऑफ अस आर इन ट्रॉमेटिक कंडीशन में है, स्टेट ऑफ माइंड नहीं है। इतने दिन हो गए, आज तक भूल तो सकते ही नहीं है, बट टोटली ब्लैकआउट है दिमाग ना। नींद नहीं आती है किसी को भी, 2-3 घंटे से ज्यादा कोई नहीं सो पाता है। साइकाट्रिस्ट के पास जाते हैं तो दवाइयां दे देते हैं, वो भी कोई इलाज नहीं है, दूसरी बीमारियां लग गई छोटी मोटी। तो सब हम कैसे हैं, तो स्थिति ये है।
Training guns at Mamata government in West Bengal's Durgapur, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that anyone who is not a citizen of India and has entered the country illegally will continue to face legal action in accordance with the constitution. Now, hitting back at Prime Minister's reaction, TMC said that the centre is responsible for guarding border, not the state government. Listen in.
साथियों, कांग्रेस और आरजेडी गरीबों, दलितों, पिछड़ों और आदिवासियों के नाम पर राजनीति करते आए हैं। लेकिन बराबरी का अधिकार तो दूर, ये परिवार से बाहर के लोगों को सम्मान तक नहीं देते। इन लोगों का अहंकार आज पूरा बिहार देख रहा है। हमें बिहार को इनकी बुरी नीयत से बचाकर रखना है।
प्रधानमंत्री जी के आज के दौरे को लेकर के खुद उन्होंने कहा कि 7200 करोड़ की सौगात। आप बताइए पत्रकार मित्रों, लोकतंत्र में सौगात कोई चीज नहीं होती है, ये राजतंत्र का शब्द है। नरेंद्र मोदी देश के प्रधानमंत्री हैं, कोई मुगल बादशाह नहीं है। तो अव्वल तो ये शब्दावली बंद करें। पूंजी गुजरात में और मजदूर श्रमिक बिहार से जाए, उसके लिए आप बी ग्रेड ट्रेन देते हो और कहते हो बिहार वासियों तुम्हारी हैसियत यही है।
टीएमसी की साजिश उजागर हो गई है, तो उसने घुसपैठियों के पक्ष में नई मुहिम शुरू कर दी है। ये देश के संविधान को, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं को भी चुनौती दे रहे हैं। टीएमसी अब उनके समर्थन में खुलकर उतर आई है। लेकिन मैं दुर्गापुर की धरती से साफ साफ कह दूं, जो भारत का नागरिक नहीं है, फिर से सुन लीजिए, जो भारत का नागरिक नहीं है, जो घुसपैठ करके आया है, उसके साथ भारत के संविधान के तहत न्याय सम्मत कार्रवाई होती रहेगी।
On that note, we are slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. NDTV has been conducting a solution-oriented campaign to address the street dog dilemma in the nation. The state government has allocated funds for dog bite and vaccination monitoring, but only 5 states have rabies helpline and only 6 states have launched an action plan for rabies. Dog bites and street dog attacks have increased in the past year. Dogs are left abandoned and hungry and in packs on our streets, making it unsafe for pedestrians, residents and children. My colleague Shri Rupa and Aarti Krishna bring us more.
As far as dogs are concerned, the first question is, why has there not been any dog shelter set up by the government in every locality? This would help avoid the amount of local population of dogs in a single area. Now, what we're asking next is, of course, in terms of large-scale mass vaccinations, why have they not been done? We do know there have been vaccinations done, but they're sporadic that they have been conducted. So, mass vaccination has to be done in a large scale. And why hasn't there been volunteers who have been hired to monitor these programs? Now, there are programs that do exist that the government has come forward with, but there are no volunteers that are monitoring the implementation of this. The next question that we're asking is, why mass neutering and vaccination is not monitored? Now, not large-scale vaccination is not being done, and whatever vaccination is being done is not being properly monitored, which is why there are dogs that are affected with rabies and other diseases as well, and they tend to be more aggressive because of this. Now, where are the state funds that are allocated for this go? Now, states do get some amount of funds from the budget for rabies monitoring, for monitoring dog bites and vaccinations as well, but that's not being done in every state. Perhaps only a few states. The next question, if we take a look at it, why rabies helpline are only operational in 5 states. Like I mentioned, there are only few states that have these operational. In fact, the action plan is operational only in 6 states. Can you imagine that? And the helpline that we will run for you on the bottom of our screens as well is only operational in 5 states. So the rest of the states don't even have a draft action plan. Now, why are we not collaborating with dog lovers and NGOs? Now, where there are people who do care about the dogs, they say that they're not being fed, they're abandoned. So then why are we not collaborating with these organizations, with these groups of people, and take them on as volunteers to monitor the vaccination, the feeding of these dogs at a particular shelter instead of having them roam around on streets?
Supreme Court observation on feeding strays at home and multiple cases of dog attacks along with the rising cases of rabies. This has brought the dog versus man conflict once back on the debates. But there are multiple questions that are to be asked. Do we have enough infrastructure to deal with such an issue? What is the complete solution where both can coexist peacefully? Joining us now is Geeta Seshamani, Vice President of Friendicos. Thank you so much, ma'am, for talking to us and asking us to come here. So firstly, I want to ask, how many dogs do you shelter here?
Over here we have 250 to 300 dogs at any given time. And almost all of them are street dogs. They come injured, sick, wounded. And I really would like to emphasize, we see no aggression from them. I've been here for 45 years and I can tell you it's a rarity to be bitten by a dog. I have never been bitten. And I've cleaned kennels, fed them, looked after them for 45 long years. I honestly feel that this street dog problem has been magnified out of all proportion. I honestly cannot understand what kind of a political agenda or what is it that is driving people to see them as enemies.
This animal birth control, the schemes that they come up with, like the vaccination drive, the anti-rabies vaccination, how do you think, do you think that there are certain kind of loopholes there? Is it reaching everywhere? What are the problems? What are the challenges in it?
The biggest problem is that this program is limited to the municipalities or to an animal husbandry department, but usually the municipal corporations. They just don't have a budget. They don't have the kind of reach. This program has to be centrally funded. It has to be done in a really huge way. And adequate infrastructure is required. You need proper mobile vans to be doing vaccinations on a regular basis. So in a city, let's say like Delhi NCR, you've got your zones, you've got your municipal corporations with the offices. We should be doing this every day.
As you know that there is a dog versus man kind of a conflict that is going around. People are divided about how to come to a solution where everybody can control the population of stray dogs. And simultaneously, उसमें हम 5 साल का action plan is there for mass anti-rabies vaccination. और उसके अलावा बहुत सारी चीज़ें in addition to those, बहुत सारी चीज़ें जिसमें कि awareness है and कुछ laws हैं, कुछ बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं. We will वो action plan में everything is there for 5-year action plan. तो उसका approval के बाद we'll start working on that. Speaking of that, like you said, that there are multiple NGOs that you guys are backing. But when we talk of infrastructure on your part, on the government's level, do you think you have enough manpower to deal? Because there are a good number of dogs on the streets, sadly. And the manpower that you would require to deal with it, do you think it's enough or do you need more manpower? What do you have to say about it?
Yes, definitely we need more manpower. Yeah, resources तो थोड़ा सा कम है. That I would say कि resources का तो थोड़ा सा strengthening is required, no doubt. In form of manpower or whatever you say, it is required.
And on that note, we are slipping into a very short break. The news continues here on NDTV. For the latest updates and breaking news, don't forget to subscribe to the NDTV YouTube channel.